Hey all you average gamers, welcome back to the channel. I'm Average Ant Games. I'm a variety streamer over on Twitch where you'll find me live on Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 6:30 GMT. You can find me at twitch.tv/averageantgames. Come, stop by and join in the conversation and watch me rage. In today's video, myself and Stol talk about remakes and remasters and the culture surrounding it in general. Comment below what are some of your best or worst gaming remakes, and what game would you like to see remaster or remade? I'd love to hear some suggestions. Lastly, if you're inclined, please leave a like and hit that sub button. It's very helpful. Till next time, keep the beers cold and the buster sword sharp. Like this to you, should games be remade or remastered? It's such like it's such a topic that's dividing because like you have FF7R, that's a fucking masterpiece right now to me. It's so good in my opinion. But then on the other end, which I can get to, a couple of games that I really dislike that have been remade, but also there's that part that recycle culture, like fans demanded this. Is that why FF14 started off slow? Is that why FF15 wasn't as reciprocated as well as it should have, because Square were balancing putting people on this project because the fans demanded it? They caved to the peer pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, so should
to transition, comparing the two is obviously difficult because of obviously the time that we find ourselves in. They're both released at very different times, but just to make a quick comparison to the legacy that both will leave, I think that's also important. FF7 had a huge legacy in its wake, which it left. Will FF7 remake do the same? I don't know. It definitely did, but maybe for different reasons. This is what I'm saying. I think both will leave their marks, but for different reasons. And it doesn't necessarily mean one's better than the other or whatever. I actually like the intrigue and the intellectual challenge that Remake set forth for everybody.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I actually really think that's cool. And this is objective as I can get as a purist. Remember, folks, ladies and gentlemen, everyone playing at home, I'm a purist. So to say that, it's a big thing to admit. And this is the thing. Look, I'm not a tribalist. I'm ready to jump on both sides of the argument, and I can admit that and acknowledge that. So that's just how it is. But should it have been done, or should it not been done? That's a huge question.
There's an interesting underlying topic here. Maybe I put it too bluntly. Like, should games be remade or remastered, or should media in general be remade or remastered? As we've seen with recent, and listen, before I say these, I'm not inciting anything in both listeners, comments, chat. Ghostbusters, Terminator, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, there's all positives within these certain films, but critically and both from fan reception, they bombed, and it's like, you cannot compare the most current Ninja Turtles film, Michael Bay bullshit, to the original Ninja Turtles that I still watch to this day with Jim Henson doing the animatronics. Like, it just doesn't. It's like, not because of that. It's not the CG. It's not the CG. It's the story as well. It's like, I'm so fucking good, man. And it's like, so should games, should media be in general, like, are we getting lazy? Is there no reward in innovation? Is it all in duplication right now? Like, and that's what I feel like. Even if you look around, like, high street fashion, I know a prominent brand, and they'll make something, and then look who starts to copy it. The top shops, the H&Ms, the Zaras of the world, whatever, they just make their own exact identical thing, just take the logo off. And it's really hard because you want to experience these memories and you want to have, oh, this is the best game ever. I wish they would remake it. And then when the remake comes out, you're unhappy because they've literally either remade it with upgraded graphics and you have something bad to say, or Final just went, fuck you, like, I'm not going to be put in your position. Square just said, we're going to do our own thing, then you're either going to like it or love it, but at least the original's still intact, which I personally really love. Because you can just go, oh, it's not canon. FF7 PS1 is my one, right? And it's like it's a good out.
It's
So
not
on
canon.
that,
That's
we
your
can do
only
it.
argument. It's not canon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
I love it. I love it as an argument, though.
Well, it's more prevalent nowadays than most. I mean, look at movies, right? Marvel are absolutely killing the game. I know you're not a big comic guy. You never have been, Stol, and you don't even watch the Marvel movies. Me,
Nope.
I'm a massive comic book guy. As you see, I've got big old comic books littering out in the back there. The thing that Marvel did great was they didn't just word for word do stories. And even then, people were like, oh, but it's not comic accurate. It's like, fuck, bro. They're making a movie. They don't have 100 issues or 5 years of issues to build this story up. They need to tell it within 2 hours. I think they adapted it pretty fucking well, man. Yes, Rax, as you said, like, and I think you need to look at this in a vacuum, and things are separate, and is something good or something bad based on its own.
I would say to that
Now,
quickly, just if I can,
yeah.
interject. It depends on what interests are at play. But yes, continue.
Yes, and you're right. Like, that's something, once again, due to politics, I do not want to touch on because it can get very hairy. Because I personally think not only did Square get forced into this remake by the fandom, and I'll say this, I think they got forced in the right way. It came from a place of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It came from a
Well
place
said,
of, we fucking love this game. Update it for us. Because every other game that they've had has been updated so far. However, like, I'm treading on very, very, very
thin
loose
ice.
boards here. Yeah. I think a lot of the things you see that are remade or reimagined or remaked or sequelized in with various many story changes or casting changes are forced out of pressure because they want to do what they think, meets what the masses meet. But those masses are not the true fans. That's all I'll say on that. So
I like your thinking.
Should games be remade or remastered? Now, I'll ask you this, Stol. The next point we had was, what are some of the best remakes? To you, what remakes have you experienced apart from FF7R? Because FF7R is up there.
You've skipped forward to the next question without like getting my perspective on all this.
Okay, go.
Sorry to cut that off, but
no, please.
I have to say my piece to this, and the basic question is: should games? Excuse me, microphone. I'll be more delicate with you. Should games be remade or remastered? And I think if we're going to really focus in on FF7R, expectations are key. Yeah, what and how the video game companies communicate to their fan base is what is going to determine its success. Okay. So subverting fans' expectations has a very reliable track record of not satisfying fans, and rather does the opposite. Yeah. It alienates them, and everybody loses. I want to really emphasize that point. Everybody loses. The fans lose. The company loses financially. No one likes that. Yeah. So people invest a lot in these intellectual properties. Okay. Whether it's building communities online, fans, whether it's going to physically or making and designing costumes to go to conventions, this is a lot that people invest in these intellectual properties, and they love it, for the reasons that they do. But nonetheless, they love it. And when people come into this and decide that, hey, that thing you love, guess what we're going to do to it? It can come across as something very malicious and vindictive, and that's not something that a fan wants to hear or see. Hence why you get that backlash that we see with particular titles. I mean, we've seen it You mentioned a couple of them, whether it be Ghostbusters or Terminator, etc. So
They're the
that's
two
just
big ones to me.
yeah, sure. There's more, but Star Wars as well. But
Yeah.
that's where you need to sort of understand where the fans are coming from, because you know we've seen the other side of this. Where, like, let's look at Sonic, for example. There are, you know, Sonic had a bad reception, and then they consulted with the fans, and then they made some changes, and then it actually was received well. So, you know, just this little bit of dialogue, this communication can avert the whole situation. But there's something a little bit more I want to focus on, and I love this IP, and you will know when I mention it. Take Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
So that's this very little known, relatively poorly received sci-fi from the 70s, right? They remade this. They remade this into a complete series in the 2000s, and it's now a cult classic. You know, this thing has had so much critical acclaim and success. It's like, all right, you know, why are you taking an IP that everybody knows and loves and is so popular when you could cherry pick something and give it a new spin, like Galactica? I mean, the 70s versions, but the 2000s version is fantastic. So, like,
I agree.
if you're gonna attack people's IP, well, no, okay. Look, sorry, I said the wrong word. Attack is not right. But look, if we're gonna repurpose IP, that's a better way of putting it. Then why not take something that has less clout? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
There's less
and I
skin
guess
in the
that poses
game.
the question.
There are less hearts to break.
Well, there's no incentive to do it then. Do you know what I mean? Like, they do it because they can make money off it. And that's the bottom line. Like, the things that are getting remade are the things that was super popular and mean something to people. Ninja Turtles. As much as and I'll hold my hand up, I'm a massive Ninja Turtles fan. I fucking love them. Love them to death. You'll hear about them in a second. I want nothing more than the best Ninja Turtles game to come to next gen consoles, and I want nothing more than to revisit the cartoon feel and the 90s movie feel. So what do? They just grab it, put Michael Bay on it, Bob's your uncle. And you're just like,
Bob's your uncle. Have fun.
Yeah, and then like we can talk about the Ghostbusters and I guess whatever pressure they felt in making that in the casting, which I'm not against in any way, shape, or form. I just story needs to be good and dialogue needs to be good for me to appreciate things. Terminator, the latest one, was a bit of a bomb. I didn't even watch it. Truth be told, I seen too much before I even thought, and I was like, no, I know where this is going. And I mean, even to stuff I did watch, Predator, Alien vs. Predator, so it's only things people care about. It's only things that were successful before, and that's why it should. I mean, I guess I'll expand this question. It's not should games; it's should media or in general be remade or remastered. It's like, to my opinion, no. I think if I had to have a conclusive answer, it's like just make something new, make something better. Stop grabbing something that was something.
Or take a non-successful IP and put a new spin on it. Battlestar
Exactly.
Galactica.
Right. Yeah, and it's really a touchy subject because people will call you out for certain things, and certain opinions. But it's just like, I just live in the realm of good. If I find something good, I'll endorse it. And if the writing's bad, if the acting's bad, if the jokes don't land, if the story's convoluted, then I'm not going to enjoy it.
The mantra of every comedian. Yeah, a joke's a joke. Funny is funny.
Yeah, I mean, not to get into that, but yeah, you're right, exactly. And it's like, truth be told, Ninja Turtles, the new two movies, I kind of found them slightly entertaining, but I fucking hated how the Turtles looked, and I hated the Shredder, and I liked how it was a modernized version. It didn't land in so many ways because it was like, this is not the Turtles, dude. The Turtles aren't this. If you know them, and if you watch the 1990s movie, Casey Jones isn't like that, you know? It was... it's hard, and that's a good example that I have, but I'm sure there's many others that are both good and bad, right? But we're talking games, and best remakes. I mean, apart from FF7R Stol, I have a couple here that I've written down that I've personally experienced. Are there any like what's the best remake for you apart from FF7R? Because for me, it has to be up there for you. Do you have any other remakes that you've experienced, or chat as well? What's a good gaming remake that you're happy with?
So this is where we get into the semantics again, because when you talk about remake, remade, I'm thinking FF7 style, where
Remastered, remake, whatever.
yeah, like I mean, are we going to retell a storyline from it? I mean, what sort of allowance are we giving there?
Well, see, I think FF7R is both a remaster and a remake. I think it's unique because I don't think many other things are like it. I don't think. Listen, in most remasters, there's a very subtle change in the storyline. However, it does not affect the overall story arc, whereas this one does. So let's keep it to
like,
remaster.
I think if we're gonna set some set some standards, let's get the terminology down pat. I think if we're gonna look at Crash Bandicoot, that's a remaster.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Remaster.
Let's call FF7R a remake. Okay,
Yep,
so if we're going to distinguish between the two, remake means we're going to do it again from the ground up, and we're going to take liberties with storyline, etc., etc. Remaster is let's take that old IP and just freshen it up. So a remaster might be FF8, for example. I mean, FF8 has been given a squeaky clean. Like, let's grab that car and take it through the car wash and open up that engine bay. Let's do every little nook and cranny. Let's make this car look like it just came off the factory floor. That's your FF8. That's your aim with it.
FF8. I'll be waiting.
FF8's like your secret lover that's being shunned off into the dungeons, and you're like, I'll come back for you.
so go on. Best remaster then.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I don't really know
Crash.
too many. Yeah, I mentioned Crash because I thought that would be up there for you. Yeah, for sure. Like, if I'm going to mention one, that's going to be my go-to because that's the one that I had the most experience with, other than FF7. And as a remaster, like, I love what they did with it. I know that the physics mechanics were adapted, and they had to be adapted because they were different between all three games. So in coming to a compromise there, it meant that Crash 1 was extremely difficult, Crash 2 was a little more difficult than the original, and Crash 3 was as it was because they decided to go with the physics mechanics of Crash 3. So in doing so, they reduced the quality of the other two games. Is that something I should be critical of? I took it as a challenge, and I said, well, let's do it,
Yeah. So it's funny because I had that same on my list. I had Crash was up there. In all honesty, I wrote down a couple because I've only played like you a couple of actual remakes, remasters. I don't like to play remade games. Right? I like to just continually experience new IPs.
I've also played the Resident Evil HD remaster. And I quite enjoyed that. And I did notice immediately a difference in the mansion itself. You were given access to like this outside courtyard that you weren't given to in the OG. And I was like, wow, this is weird. This is different. I didn't necessarily feel like it was bad because it wasn't jarringly different like you might experience in Remake of FF7. So I wasn't, unhappy with that. I actually quite enjoyed that as a remaster, if that's what we're going to call that. But I think that would actually fall more into remake territory, if you ask me.
That was something that was on my list. Resident Evil 1. Experiencing that in a modern, freshened up. The frame rate's faster. Yeah, you have those other little bits. The dialogue's still shitty.
Okay.
Barry, what are we going to do? but when I say remake and remaster, you can't go past Resident Evil 2 and by extension Resident Evil 3. It honestly, the year before 2019, I think it is, That's game of the year, dude. Like, it's so good, and I'm encouraging everyone who's got a console or any PC who you can get this on sale, do it. That is unreal. The fact that they remade Resident Evil 2 and the fact that how they did it, polished graphics, storylines still intact. They didn't change anything. There's some slight changes to some villains or some monsters you see here or there, but overall, like, masterpiece. You've already mentioned Crash. Crash is up there. Insane trilogy is good. I
Yep.
cannot play it.
Yeah, really
I cannot
enjoyable.
play it due to the differences you said. I really struggle to play Crash One. The devs have acknowledged this though. It's public. It's public now. They've put it out there and said like, yeah, we had difficulties adapting PlayStation 1 to 4 and 5.
It's too difficult, to be fair. It's too difficult. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't live with that.
The other two that I actually have, and I've only played 20 minutes of each, and I shelved them because I'm like, oh, I'm going to wait till I'm on holiday and I can play a week of this straight, is Spyro. Shout out to Spyro, one of my old friends. Spyro trilogy. It's a great remaster / remake. I'm unaware of what's different yet. I played it and I went, this feels good. This feels fluid. Need to shelve this. Don't want to do this before or after work. I want to take a whole week and just smash out Spyro. And the last one is something that I know you've got. It's not a particular game you have, Stol, but it's Ratchet and Clank, the PS4 remake or upgrade. I'm not too cluey on Ratchet and Clank, but you have the new one, Shattered Dimensions, which I will purchase once I finish this. It is a remake. I've been told, of both a movie and a PS3 game. It's merged.
I was so surprised to be playing it and being like, this actually feels like a movie. And then, that's why it felt like a movie, because it was.
And they are great games. So, like, in those contexts, I fully believe, like, if you keep the heart and the soul of the game, remake the shit out of it, upgrade it for me, because we know what's coming, right? And I wanted to talk on this. Last of Us 1 is getting a remake to PS5, which I don't seem necessary. It's been out on PS3. There's no need right now. Give me Last of Us 3. However, I know when it comes, I'm probably going to go, that's pretty fucking good. I don't know, like, I know it's all in line with the TV show and HBO show coming, so we'll see. Now,
may I just repeat what you just said?
Please.
If you're going to do a remake, keep the heart and the soul.
I was wondering why you're leaning so far into it. Stol's serious when he leans into something. And I agree, dude. Like, it is too soon for a Last of Us remake, in my personal opinion, because I think that time can be put on the development of another game. Now, next point is poor remakes. Do you have any examples of, let's just call it what it is, shithouse remakes, remasters? I only have one. This was really tough because I don't play, like, I play a lot of games, as do you. I probably play more, but I found it really hard because of my predisposition before to only play new games. I don't revisit stuff. How do I, like, and I only found one example.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were extending this to the movie realm as well, because I would have said,
we'll go on.
Galactica is such a great remake. I mean, that's my number one for remakes. Fantastic. And on top of that, I mean, I haven't seen the film yet, but the newest Ghostbusters, and I'm probably shooting myself. I'm cursing myself right now, shooting myself in the foot. It actually looks very promising. It looks to have,
it does.
It looks to have withheld a lot of nostalgic feeling that you would expect from the original. So, very much fascinated to see where that goes. Poor remakes. I mean, long list in terms of the movies. I don't think we need to really get into that, to be fair. So then let's jump back into game realm. I haven't honestly played too many remakes where I've thought, oh, this is horrible. But there's one particular one that you seem to be pushing in my direction, which I'm in two minds about. I think I think I know. Do you want to say what you want to say what I think it
I
is?
have no idea what you're about to say.
Resident Evil 3.
Ooh, yeah, it was mentioned in chat before. It's yeah. So on surface, let me say this. It's only poor because of its length and its size. I found it poor because I paid £60 for it, brand new, and I
Ooh,
thought I was getting
it's a thing, ladies
another
and
Resident Evil 2, but what I wasn't, I was getting a DLC. It's comparing the length of Yuffie DLC to FF7R, in all honesty. And if you paid 60 quid for Yuffie, you'd feel a bit hard done by as well. Yeah, Rax has said in the chat, Nemesis RE3 remake is pretty bland. It's because people thought they were going to get a whole brand new RE3 remake, but instead they got reused, environments and textures, the police station and such. However, it's good. It's just get it in the sale right now. They're selling it as a bundle, and you wouldn't be disappointed.
I have to be honest though, like from my perspective, as someone who's not played it, that's what the original was. That's why I'm kind of in two minds about it, because I'm like, there wasn't really too much to Resident Evil 3 anyway,
Yeah,
so I don't know what people are complaining about. I mean, the OG was actually pretty simple as it was,
there's a couple of
But
changes. There's a couple of changes in there that, to me, don't make or break the game. But I know I sound like I'm selling it to you again. But RE2 plus 3 in a bundle, probably the best purchase you'll make, and you will not be disappointed.
as an old
Um,
fan, like I actually used to play a lot of Resident Evil games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even Mrs. Average Ant Games, she likes to watch me play zombie games in particular, and that's her favorite, apart from Last of Us. She fucking loves the shit out of Resident Evil right now because of that game.
Mrs. Stol has nothing to do with video games whatsoever, just so everyone knows.
So this is a really tough one, dude. Poor remakes. As I said, I don't buy remakes. I don't play many remakes. I could put Nemesis RE3 in there because of the length. I felt cheated, but dude, and I said it will come back up again. I'm not going to mention any movies or anything. This game, dude, on PlayStation 3, it's called TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, Reshelled. And I thought, fuck me, you're giving me the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time, that old side scroller beat 'em up on PS3, and I bought that shit. This is whilst you and me were living in London. And I bought that shit, and it was like a 3D rendering of it. I was like, cool, just updated 3D graphics? No. It was dog shit. It was put it in the dog food, mate. It was a massacre because I remember playing Turtles in Time on the arcade cabinet back when it cost 20 cents in Australia to have a go. To have one life, you throw your 20 cents in, just start, and I'll choose Donatello and just go along. And the
I remember those
animations,
days. Good fun.
yeah,
Very fun. Very
the
fun arcade
arcadeness.
game. That and Metal Slug, they were like the two arcade games.
Exactly. The exact animations. You're talking about Metal Slug, TMNT had the same animations, right? It's just, it's such a letdown. It's possibly the worst remake of all time. Then I played original to remaster or whatever. And that's why I'm so hyped on this new Ninja Turtles game, because they're basing it off Streets of Rage 4. Streets of Rage is a big fan. I'm a big fan of it. I'm really happy, and it looks true to the original.
Yep.
It's the only one I could really think of. I mean, I did honorable mention put Crash in there because Crash 1 is just unplayable to me. The high road, fuck, kill yourself.
Oh.
It's so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
insanely
suicide
hard.
material right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad. Now, it brings me to the next point. Remakes you wish would happen. What are some remakes that you wish would happen?
I've got a couple on my list, to be honest. I want to just gloss over one point before I jump into the ones that I wish would, which is Gran Turismo. I mean, this is a game that I played as a kid, and I quite liked it. It's a series. I mean, they release a new one every few couple of years with updated vehicles and all that sort of thing. And I'm kind of thinking, like, I mean, it's still the same racetracks and all that sort of thing. Like, is this real? You have to go through your license in the beginning. It feels more
Yeah.
like a remaster of the old one than an actual new game. So this does really fall into remake remaster territory. If you're going to put out and FIFA, I think would be another great example of that. I mean, it's the same football game you play. It's just one or two extra players every season. I mean, obviously, if you look at it over a 10-year gap, it's going to be completely different teams. But in a 2-year gap, it's like, well, there's not really a huge difference there. And I mean, in terms of
sports games suffer in that regard.
yeah, well, NBA as well. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where I'm asking, like, are these games, do they fall into remake, remaster territory, or am I making a stretch here?
I think you're making a stretch, but I see what you're saying. They need a complete redesign because otherwise people are paying the same. I've bought FIFA and NBA for the last, God knows, 13, 15 years. There must be somewhere around there. And those franchises are strong, and they're leaning more towards pay-to-play now. Like, buy this card, update this card, build your own team. And the actual features that I play are suffering. The old, you're a manager, have conversations with your team, manage the minutes, that's why I bought them, to be a sports simulator. I don't want to go too far into that because that's a deep hole. But I think, I don't think they count. Now, what I had in mind...
Just a quick question to that, though.
Yeah.
Like, between FIFA 2020 and between FIFA 2021, what is the gap there? Like, what is the bridge that needs to be gapped? It's probably not big.
No, it's not big at all. The game, it does feel different, though. I will say, I'm not defending it. It feels different. And the fact that they tweak the physics or the ball movement or the player movement or add some animations makes it feel a new game. But after you play it after a month, you're like, oh, I've seen it all and I know what's happening, especially in NBA. So yeah, it's a tough one because sports games, they got such a good formula. Like they work. They're an emulation of a game, and as long as every game isn't the same, then it's successful.
Okay,
you know,
falls into that like framework. Yeah.
So, I mean, remakes I wish I would happen. I came down to 3.
I got 3 too.
Yeah. So let's say we'll go in order. We'll go 3, 2, 1. So my third, and I'm cheating on this, is Need for Speed Underground 2.
Oh, that's such a great one. Don't change it. Don't change the horrible hood scoops and roof scoops you can put on. Like, I never put them on my vehicles whatsoever. Don't change it.
Listen, whatever the fucking the other ones were, all Most Wanted, all that shit, Payback. Just forget your story. Just dum 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 dum. Let's get some Little John in there. But more importantly, like, you could update the shit of that game. There was a point. Underground 2, Most Wanted, and I think it was Carbon. Those 3 Need for Speed games you could merge into one as a remake, and you would have the perfect open world street night racer with a little bit of a rankings list with other street races, some police endangerment. Like, yeah, man, like none of this story shit of first person movies of people dapping and all that shit. Like, miss me with that. Yeah. Yeah, so it was something I thought about. I was like, man, I really want to get imagine a PS5 remake of fucking Need for Speed Underground 2. Ooh,
the thing is, like, with certain things, car culture has become a bit stale. I mean, it's not anything to do with enthusiasts themselves. A little bit slightly, it's car manufacturers aren't pumping out the amount of different sports vehicles that they used to back in the 90s, for example. That was a huge boom for sports vehicles, and it's a shame that that's gone that way. But that led to the big car culture and these games and movies and stuff that all spurred because of that. You have, for example, the new Supra was a cooperation between BMW and Toyota. So that vehicle it's shared between 2 vehicle manufacturers. So it's kind of like, well,
hey,
it's
here's
just
the answer.
A dilution.
Give us both.
It's not a dilution; it's a distillation of the car culture itself. So you don't have the variety of options that you used to have. It's a shame, and look, that's just what it is. But
I thought you would appreciate that
I did. I really
suggestion.
appreciated yeah.
So
It's cool.
what's your number 3?
Oh, okay. Look, if I have to put one right down the bottom, oh no, it's too cool. Look, I'm gonna have to reduce mine. I've only got 2, to be honest.
Oh,
I'll give you
okay.
my number 2.
Go on number 2, and I'll give you mine.
It's a game called Overboard, and basically you're a pirate ship, and you go. I think it was on the the PS1 demo,
That was my
and
number
you're a
4.
pirate ship, and you got to like you're multiplayer, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you're in this big arena where everyone's on a pirate ship, and that you're just cannoning each other. Like, I don't know how much this particular game crosses over with a new game that's
Sea of
very
Thieves.
what's it called?
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. I don't know how similar those two are, but yeah, you tell me.
Unfortunately, very similar. I've played both. I think Overboard had a platforming nature to it that Sea of Thieves doesn't. And immediately when you said that, I was like, oh my god, imagine a modern day Overboard battle royale style. You drop in. I was
Yeah,
like, that's Sea of
exactly.
Thieves. That's exactly what Sea of Thieves is. Just its first person. Yeah, but
I don't like the
more-
first person accent. I want to be a ship. I just want to just cruise around as my ship.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard because I think you would very much appreciate Sea of Thieves, but also there was a certain tact that Overboard have. Having played both, that Sea of Thieves just does not have. Overboard was so sick. Like, that shit was so fun. You're right. It was on the PS demo. And I used to play the shit out of that demo because demos back then were not leveled. They were timed. You could get as far as you could in the game before the timer ran out. So I used to just... It was like speed runs before they were invented. And Overboard, yeah, man. Like, I think the great untapped resource is Seven Seas, the pirate. I would love to see the new GTA turn pirate. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it could be Overboard because they've done the samurai thing, they've done medieval, they've done the West. Like, pirate to me is the new untapped in gaming, and Overboard, dude.
Absolutely. Like, I said this to you back when we lived in London 10 years ago. The new Red Dead Redemption. This was before Red Dead 2. I said the new Red Dead needs to be pirate based. And just imagine you've got, a set of Caribbean islands, and, there are, economical things on each island, which makes it lucrative for you to go to every single island and exploit that if your, manpower or firepower is strong enough. Just imagine all the different dynamics you could add into that, and recruitment of crew as well. You need to be a reputable ship for pirates to want to come and join you. It's like, whoever wants to remake Overboard and make it the way I'm talking, come and ask me. Like, seriously, let's get into it.
Right. Good suggestion. So my number 2, and I've actually searched this, and I've seen a bunch of streamers actually streaming this of recent. Shout out to them for going back into history books. That you've done it with RE2. Just do it with Dino Crisis. Just do Dino Crisis remake, please. Just remaster it, remake it. I don't want zombies. I want dinosaurs. And if you played Dino Crisis, holy shit, did that game have an air of horror about it. After Jurassic Park, after the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park, you could almost like relive a lot of the horror elements of Jurassic Park. Dino Crisis was so legit. To those who don't know, it's just basically just Resident Evil 1 or 2 or 3, same still setting, camera angle, where you run through, but dinosaurs. Once again, it came on a demo disc in PlayStation Magazine. Bought that at the supermarket, and when I played it, I was blown away that they made a dinosaur version of Resident Evil, and I think it's due for an update. Matter of fact, I think Capcom might. Not going to say they are because there's no reports, but I think, like, given the resurgence in what RE Remake did, Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake, now people are playing their back catalog, they might go, holy shit, we've got this IP here that we could really flesh out for next gen. The success of Horizon Zero Dawn will probably speak to that. But yeah, man, Dino Crisis is my number 2 for sure.
Cool game, dude. Really cool game. Like, yeah, What happened to that? What happened to the old, dinosaur jump scare, like in movies
Just
and in video games? Why does that not
dude,
exist these
the
days?
door handle. These things open
Yeah.
fucking doors. Like what? Like, yeah, do you know what I mean?
Why couldn't Jurassic World or its sequels be able to
Yeah.
capture that same fear that they managed to do in the original Jurassic Park? That was just, yeah, exactly as you just said it. Oh my god, they
Horror.
can open doors.
Yeah. So I mean, it brings us to our number ones. What's your number one, Stol? Before I go into
My
mine.
number one is it's a game that is a multiplayer game and should definitely be played that way. And it's very simple. I mean, they could really easily redo this and everyone could play. You could have tournaments on PlayStation. I don't understand why this doesn't exist. But please, please, anybody who has the intellectual property of this game, please do this. Please release it. Please put it out on PS5 so everyone can enjoy this fantastic, simplistic game. It's called Bomberman.
Ooh. I actually think it's been remade a couple of times or remastered, but I get what you're saying. Like, now's the time. Current gen, multiplayer, battle royale. I loved Bomberman. I'll throw my hands up and say I never really got it.
I had it.
I'll put
I
a,
had the demo, and then I actually bought the real deal as well.
I remember I put bombs down and I was like, why is it still hitting me? And I didn't realize. I didn't realize it was like when I had to like take this certain angle on a wall, and I was like, why am I getting fried by my own bombs? But you're right, that would be nasty player versus player Bomberman, or add some sort of story in there. Yeah, Bomberman, shit. Ooh, okay. It's funny because I've also too gone to the continent of Japan, well, the island of Japan, country of Japan for my gaming remaster or remake that I would love to see.
It's several islands and an island chain as well, depending on how you want to count it. But yeah, off you
Thank you
go.
for the correction. My game that I want them to update and merge all parts, because this game comes in 1, 2, and 3, and put it into one current gen game is Ape Escape.
Oh, I should have said that. I knew that was coming.
Dude.
Sorry.
That game, the humor, the comedy, the intuitiveness. That was the first game I played that made me use both Joy-Con, like both joysticks on the DualShock. Right was the swinging of my left was movement, and right stick was the swinging of whatever attachment I had, my net or my gun. And the top ones, R1 and R2, were my camera. Weird, but in many ways it prepared me for modern day gaming with using the joysticks instead of the pad. But that game, dude, Ape Escape. It's a shame because if you own a PS5, like myself and Stol, I actually still have it on my gaming library, and it doesn't run on PS5. It's one of the few games that glitches out. It will only ever run on PS4. So
It's a shame, dude. It's a big shame.
I know it's dead to me because I tried to play it, and I was like, fuck, and that's what put it at number 1. I was like, damn, I want this to play.